They grafted ain't DNA.
Made from artificial parts.
They grafted ain't DNA.
Made from artificial parts.
They grafted ain't DNA.
Made from artificial parts.
Animal DNA along with human DNA. Animal DNA along with human DNA. Animal DNA along with human DNA.
The human race are animals. The human race are animals. Your human race are your artificial beings. A group of beings put together, basically made from artificial parts, from animal life. Part of the God race genetic went into them to give them intelligence to work. That's what you call a creation. Creatures. When you create something, you put something together, you throw something together. They show you in the evolutionary chart that they come from monkeys and animals. They call them prehistoric men and primitive, and they show them coming up and they had covered in fur and hair. Doesn't the white man, the East Indian, and some of them still look like that today? Don't they still carry the same fur? Don't they still have genetic defects that look like animals, where you have them with animal hind legs and things like that? Why is that? Because they came out of that animal genetic that was growing out of the water from the single-cell amoebas. And if you look at the Egyptians, what they had on their wall, if you notice, they had pictures of the white man, the Asian, I believe the East Indian too. They had them in chains on walls as slaves. A slave race. Created man as a slave race to work. There's a reason for that. You can tell that it's a black woman who just put a perm in her hair and chemically altered it, and it's different from their hair because they were bred in water. You were bred in a solar plex planet, in a solar origin, which gives rise to your hair. Heat makes things rise, does it not? Which is why their hair hangs down like that. Water pulls down gravitation. Heat brings levitation, rise. We were not of this world. We were not created here. That's why we're not liked here. This is why we are the outcast amongst the humans. That's what racism really is about, that you're not part of the human race. You were not created from single-cell amoebas. You are the manifestations of that God race.
Where the Egyptians say that their biggest problem was to create another man. That's what the Egyptian says, documented in this particular book. That our biggest problem was to create another man. So they had the ancient art of alchemy, even down to the ancient art of gene splicing, which the white boy has mastered at least since 1945, which we know of as cloning. Now, apparently in these particular schools, after hundreds of years or thousands of years of teaching people to master the body, master gene splicing, master alchemy, they had a renegade group of students who broke away from the main priesthood. And these particular students who broke away from the main priesthood traveled up into Europe, and with the ancient art of gene splicing set up laboratories in Europe, apparently in the caves. They set up these particular laboratories with gene splicing, and they used several animal DNA along with human DNA. Animal DNA along with human DNA, and they spliced together a hybrid species. A hybrid species, a form of a counterfeit spirit, which has a mock nuclei and one ring of consciousness, which is a mock. It is a hybrid species. They use different aspects of animal DNA, ape DNA, pig DNA, cat, rat, dog, whatever, and human DNA. And the end result was that the first level of that particular one was a very advanced level. It was a Sasquatch. I know this shit sounds funny. You know, a Bigfoot. You know what I'm saying? It sounds funny, but truth is stranger than fiction. Which was a Sasquatch type of ape-type figure that was very advanced because it had the first levels of the human DNA in it, which means that it had a higher intelligence. And from that, they grafted down several species down to what you get is the doggone European. So they grafted down to that last and final product. Although it was hairy, it wasn't as hairy as the Sasquatch. So they had several beings and stuff like that. That's the reason why this particular Sasquatch thing can stay out of sight. What little races of that is remaining and stuff, they got stories on this particular stuff. That ain't nothing but a relative of the doggone European. H.P. Lovecraft appears to be suggesting is that the inhabitants of a primal African city of white apes are not only the missing link between apes and human, but the ultimate source of the white civilization. The entire white race derived from a primal race in Africa, a race which had corrupted itself by intermingling with apes. This is the only explanation of the narrator's opening statement, which says if we knew who we were as Sir Arthur Ginman did, i.e. we would commit suicide. We may not have white ape in our immediate ancestry, but we are all products of an ultimate miscegenation.
The white scientists will tell you that the human race are animals. He tells you that the human race is part of the animal race or the animal cycle. What does the word animal mean? Animated males. Animated. Look at the word. Look at the phonetics of the word animal. Animated. To be moved forward. To be manipulated. Yeah? That's what the single-celled amoebas were done. That's what was done to the single-celled amoebas. They were animated. They were given life. They were given life to work. And your want to be accepted in society is because you want to be considered to be as part of the human race. When you're not. Because they're created beings. They're not natural beings. They're artificial beings. Heat brings about natural synergy and power. Water is what you create things in. You understand? You bring about creations. You mold things in water. You shape things in water. Creatures. Single-celled amoebas. All these things are created in water. The human race was a big experiment. And you see it. You see it. The humans were meant to work. They were not meant to live long. They have fur. That's not hair on their head. That's fur. Look at the horse. Look at the horse's fur. The mane on the horse, the fur on the dog. Look at the fur on the gorilla and that monkey. And you look at the white man and the rest of the human race. The East Indians, they all got fur on them. You see some cases where they covered in damn fur, like the animals. Why? Because they were all bred in water.
Put this on a high scientific thing. They grafted ape DNA with all other kind of ape DNA. This was the original clones. They're also called counterfeit spirits. Now, apparently the counterfeit spirits are separated from the true beings from a single essence. That single essence would be what we would call melanin, or what we would also call soul. So there's a difference. Everything on the earth plane has a spirit. The roaches have a spirit. Cats and hogs have a spirit. A spirit is what makes everything move along the earth plane. Not everything has a soul. Why? Because the soul, it comes from the original origin before creation. The word soul means what? Sun. You study soul, you get the word solar, you get the word Saul, Solomon, Saul, Amen, hidden son, hidden God. The word soul means sun or star. That's what the soul is. It's a particle of life before creation. That which comes in after creation, it is not capable of having that is created before the earth plane, before creation. So in this particular thing, it can have a spirit. Everything down here has a spirit and an intelligence, basically. Gene splicing, growing something, growing cells. But in this case, throwing a whole bunch of animals up in the pot and making what this monster you have, Monster Man Frankenstein. They grafted DNA.
Made from artificial parts.
They grafted DNA.
Made from artificial parts.
They grafted DNA.
Made from artificial parts.
Animal DNA along with human DNA.
The human race are animals. The human race are animals. The human race are animals.